Tin Man Playboy becomes the world's greatest hero. Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Iron Man, and more importantly, welcome to the birth of the MCU. I know it's about the fifth thing that I'm doing in this Marvel Cinematic Universe review series that I'm doing, but this is where it all began. However, I'm going in timeline order, so it's a bit different. And man, what a movie this is. So, who would have ever thought that one of the biggest superheroes we would ever get would be Iron Man? What, like a B-list character? I mean, to be honest, Marvel had nothing. Back in the day of 2000 and, like, I don't know, 6 or so, when they planned this, they had nothing. Marvel sold off the rights to Sony for Spider-Man. They sold off the rights to Fox for X-Men and Fantastic Four and Daredevil. They had nothing. They had absolutely nothing, so they had to go into the B-list of characters. And what did they pick out? They picked out Iron Man and made a movie out of them. And the fact that this movie is so highly regarded is still baffling. But that's because it was made by a group of fantastic people. So let's just go into this, shall we? This movie is directed by Jon Favreau, who also portrays Happy Hogan. I don't really have much to say about him in this thing, so I'm just gonna start off by talking about him, I guess. He was just the driver. He's fine in the movie, but he doesn't have like a big role. He doesn't get a big role until later on. But let's go with the main star, because we have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, portraying both Tony Stark and Iron Man, and my goodness. Look, I know we're now about almost 20 years on, but still, even now, it's like they couldn't have picked a better casting. This was perfect casting, and Robert Downey Jr. gives it his all. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., he wasn't a big actor when Iron Man came out. Iron Man kind of made him, brought him back, because he did some stuff, he did some stupid stuff, and now he's back in acting role, and he's fantastic. And the way that the story portrays him from, you know, like, you got this playboy who then falls to the ground and now has to climb back up and become better than ever. I love that storyline, and I love Robert Downey Jr. in this movie. The way that even like the way that he bounces off of other characters, he's fantastic. And that's about all I can say about him. So next up we have Terrence Howard portraying James Rhodes. Yeah, they did a recast after this, and I don't know how I feel about the recast. Like, I think both of them are fine. It's not like Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, or even like Chris Evans as Captain America. Terrence Howard does a good job, but then they recasted him. I don't know the full story behind that, so I'm not gonna go into that. But overall, he does a good job, you know. He does play off really well off of Tony Stark. Like, the way the banter between the two works really well. And I like that. And I like Terrence Howard in the movie. I mean, I do feel a bit bad for him that, like, after this movie, he got recast. So, all the future stuff he wasn't able to do. It would have been, I would have liked to see, like, an alternate universe where Terrence Howard was like War Machine. So, next up, we have the assistant, but also kind of love interest. We have Pepper Potts. And I like her in this movie. I mean, she is just basically the assistant, but also she does kind of push back against Tony a couple of times in the movie. And I like that because, to be honest, you know, not knowing where they're gonna go, I understand now why Tony can take that kind of stuff, because of the fact that it's like, you know, he likes her. Simple as that. So when she's like, nah, you're being stupid, he's not like, you're fired. He's like, yeah, okay, maybe I am a little bit. Or he's just fights back against it. I like the interactions between the two. I mean, what we get, it's difficult also to judge the stuff in this movie based on this movie alone. Because also in my head, I'm like, what Pepper Potts and Tony have, like, in future movies, kind of affects my opinion on them in this movie as well. I think, let's see here. Gwyneth Paltrow portrays Pepper Potts. I think she does a fantastic job. I wouldn't really say it's perfect casting, but I will say it's really good casting. Let's say that, okay? So next up we have Obadiah Stane. Now, I'm not really going to talk much about Obadiah Stane, but he is a business partner, I guess you could say, to Tony Stark. He's basically the one who runs the whole company while Tony Stark is off being Playboy man. And the actor, Jeff Bridges, does a really good job in the role. He doesn't really get to do much in the role, I will say that. It is a bit of a downside. But overall, he does a really good job in this movie. However, if I had to bring up one problem, it is Farhan Tahir as Raza Al-Wazar. But we have basically him as the main bad guy. The 10 Rings gets mentioned in this movie as well. He is part of the 10 Rings. He is kind of the villain, I guess. But the problem is that the villain in this movie isn't good. It is the one big downside to this movie. While everything else works, the villain is just like, yeah, hey, we got a bad guy for this movie as well. We don't have, like, you know, a story for him at all, or like, you know, a fun parallel or anything like that. We just got a bad guy, and that's not really gonna stop anytime soon, or at all, for these Iron Man movies. Like, if there's one complaint you can make about every single Iron Man movie, it's the fact that the villain is just like, okay, he's just there. The villain is just there in all the 3 Iron Man movies. No matter how you look at it, the villains are just there. But sometimes that's all you need, because this is the origin story. And I will forgive it in an origin story movie. But I also said during my Captain America the First Avenger video, in case you people, if you watch that I think that Captain America the First Avenger is better than Iron Man. Now, what I meant by that is the fact that it is only slightly better. And that's because I like Red Skull in that movie. Here, the main villain is he's just there, and it's just not really, I don't know, he doesn't necessarily have a presence in this movie. Let's say that, okay? Let's say that. I'm trying to be spoiler-free because, you know, I'm doing spoiler review and spoiler-free review. Always do that. It's just the way that I am. But like I said, the villain is the one that brings this movie a bit down. But then, next up, we have also Agent Phil Coulson in this movie, who brings the movie back up, obviously, because it's Phil Coulson. He's a great guy. And we have Paul Bettany as Jarvis. Also, speaking of Agent Coulson, I just wanted to get this off the chest immediately. There's an issue with Captain Marvel, because in this movie, Coulson keeps calling S.H.I.E.L.D. like the long name, instead of calling it S.H.I.E.L.D. And then at the end of the movie, it's like, just call it S.H.I.E.L.D. Alright, but why in Captain Marvel was it then called S.H.I.E.L.D. when it shouldn't have been S.H.I.E.L.D.? Just a thing, just a content, just a bit of an error in that movie. I forgot to talk about that. I noticed it while watching this movie. I mean, it's been a while since I watched this movie, so I kind of forgot about that. But I thought I mentioned that. Anyway, but we have Paul Bettany as Jarvis. Now, Paul Bettany will get to do a lot more stuff later on, but for now, he does a really good job as the voice. He has that, he's kind of got like a bit of a sassy tone sometimes, but also he has like emotions kind of implanted in there as well. I like that. He doesn't sound like a regular AI, like a, you know, how you think a robot would sound. So yeah, Paul Bettany, good job. Now then, let's talk about the special effects, because those are also in this movie, and wow, they haven't, like, the special effects we have nowadays look about the same as in this movie. Like, there were a couple of times where it's like, there's the one point where the villain comes out of the ground, and it's like, dude, really? It doesn't look that good. But then I'm reminded of all the CGI stuff that we have nowadays, and it's like, yeah, that's basically on par with what we get nowadays. I'm sorry to say it, but it is on par with what we get nowadays. But there's a lot of stuff here that looks so good. This movie just, it's a special movie. Let's say that. It is a special movie, because a lot of stuff that, you know, it takes itself a lot more seriously. It doesn't have a lot of the cheese that a lot of superhero movies from back in the day had, which also was kind of their charm, because they had a lot of cheese. But here, it's just like, no, we want to be serious, we want to make this work, and we want to build a cinematic universe out of it. They actually put everything that they had into this movie to make it work. And you can just feel the passion from the people behind the scenes. Kevin Feige, Jon Favreau, you know, and the writers crafting an Iron Man story that will be able to stand the test of time, but also be able to be good enough so that Marvel can actually build a cinematic universe. You can really feel the love, because also what I love about this movie is the side characters themselves as well, because it's not just Iron Man, because Pepper Potts and Rhodes and Coulson, they get to do stuff in this storyline as well. Like, that's where superhero stuff nowadays kind of falls short, because it's all about, alright, I'm just gonna use this as an example, Captain Marvel. It basically just feels like Captain Marvel didn't need anyone else, and that kind of made the movie feel a bit boring, because it's like, yeah, but what about the other characters? Like, they don't really do anything. It's like Captain Marvel always needs to save them kind of thing. But here it's like, you know, Iron Man gets help from Pepper Potts and Rhodes in order to stop the main bad guy of the movie. I love that about this movie. I just wanted to say that as well. But the CGI, a lot of it holds up. Some of it just doesn't. There are things where it's just like, oh my gosh, that doesn't look that good. But there's also other stuff where it's like sometimes it kind of looks TV budget, but then like a little bit more, like TV plus budget. And sometimes it just looks like, you know, it's like, oh my god, that's CGI. Because I remember seeing YouTube videos like years later, where it was like, oh hey, look, this is the CGI on Iron Man. It's like, that's CGI? Because it looks real, you know? So there's a nice blend, but certain things look better than other things. So let's just move straight into final verdict, because I want to just talk some spoilers, and I'll upload that video in less than an hour. So my final verdict for Iron Man is going to be a good old-fashioned 9 out of 10. I gotta be honest, it's a 9 out of 10, and the one thing that draws it down is the villain of the movie, because otherwise it would have been an easy 10 out of 10. An easy 10 out of 10. If this movie had just like, you know, a better bad guy, then it would have been an easy 10 out of 10. Just like, there you go. But that's the point for me, where it's like with Captain America the First Avenger and Iron Man, between the two, it's like Captain America the First Avenger has a better villain, so it like slightly edges out. But if Iron Man had a good villain, it would have beaten out Captain America the First Avenger. But that has been my review, so thank you all so very much for watching. Comment down below, let me know what you guys think about this movie. Like, what are your problems with this movie? I mean, there are certain issues, like small issues here and there as well, that, you know, a pitch meeting will probably point out. But I didn't really have a lot of issues with this movie. I just love the way that they did this movie. But let me know your thoughts down below about this movie. And like I said, thank you all so very much for watching. And I do hope you guys have enjoyed. And if you did, please like button, subscribe if you're new, if you're not already, turn on notifications. And don't forget to check out my Let's Play channel. Link in the description and at the end of the video. And I'll see you guys in about 50 minutes for my spoiler talk. And I'll see you guys next week, potentially, for my review, or next time in this whole thing, for my review of Iron Man 2. Let's see if they can outperform the first movie, which, let's be honest here, means that they only need to do a better villain. So let's hope for a better villain next time. Bye!